Slice of life is my favorite genre of pretty much anything. Anime, manga, visual novels, books and movies and games. I enjoy the relaxed vibe you get from a slice of life series. Whether it's drama or comedy, I love it. It's probably why to this day Lucky Star is still my favorite anime of all time. But a very, very, very close second to slice of life is horror. Of any kind, of all kinds. Supernatural, paranormal, body horror, existential and cosmic horror. I eat that stuff up. So with those two pieces of information in mind, allow me to paint a picture for you. Two young men, Yoshiki and Hikaru, in a rural Japanese town out in the mountains on a hot summer day, the both of them scrambling into a local store to get some cold ice cream. And with only one bar left, they buy it and they share it. Hikaru starts talking about how a teacher is gonna torture him by getting him to run laps around the courtyard again. And Yoshiki corrects him on how he pronounces the word torture. I won't say what he says it sounds like, but it is kind of funny. And Yoshiki brings up something that we would have had no way of knowing, that a little while back Hikaru had gone missing. He'd went for a hike in the mountains surrounding their town, and everyone had thought he'd died. He'd been missing for weeks before he emerged from the woods, claiming that he'd been lost. Yoshiki, the person closest to him, remarks on the fact that he is different. At least different to his Hikaru. And we see this shocks Hikaru. I mean, that would be an upsetting thing to hear from your closest friend. That you're not the same person they thought they knew. Except Yoshiki is right on point. Stunned, Hikaru lets the facade drop, literally, as his face melts into an amorphous swirl of patterns and figures, his voice garbled and distorted. The only other sounds aside from him speaking are the shrilling of cicadas in the background. He advances on Yoshiki, gripping him in an uncomfortably tight embrace, saying that he thought he'd been doing a good job, even though that his person and his body aren't his. He was enjoying living as a human, and that he really does love Yoshiki, and that he doesn't want to have to kill him. Yoshiki was right. His friend Hikaru walked into that forest, but whatever walked out wearing his skin afterwards was not the same. We then cut to a little bit of a dream that Yoshiki is having as he snaps awake, remembering the last time he saw what he can confirm now was his friend Hikaru, just before his trip into the mountains. Curled up and terrified in his bed, thinking about the friend that he no longer has, but the friend that is also waiting outside for him to go to school. Possibly fearing for his own safety, and partially because an imposter Hikaru is better than no Hikaru at all. He also continues on and puts up the charade that everything's normal, everything's fine, occasionally correcting Hikaru and noticing the differences between the thing he sees in front of him now and his friend. A local cat that they both know reacts in terror to him and flees. Their friends at school notice that he's a little different. He's more lovey-dovey towards Yoshiki right now. Some of them even call him clingy, when they don't even know the half of it. Whatever this is firmly latched on to Yoshiki. And this is the setting we find ourselves in at the beginning of our story. As things progress, we see that Yoshiki and Hikaru, even before the accident that led to Hikaru's unfortunate and untimely demise, the both of them were completely different people. The two of them had different personalities, different hobbies and interests, and yet, despite that, or maybe because of that, were both drawn to each other, maintaining a close friendship and harboring possible romantic feelings for each other. And that's where the real majesty of the horror in this story shines. Taking all the tropes of a coming-of-age, sort of could-be romance, slice of life story between these two, and adding in this deep fear of what might happen, of what this creature is, this eldritch entity that we don't actually know anything about, the possibility of how this thing could just decide to kill Yoshiki if it wanted to, or what it may do to those he cares about and loves. It does claim that it found Hikaru breathing his last in the forest, and then slipped into his skin suit, I suppose, and it does seem to earnestly care for and want to be friends with Yoshiki. It wants to integrate itself. It likes being a person. It likes having its own life. And again, it does really and truly seem to care for Yoshiki. Though how much of that is genuine love and how much of it is obsession is up for debate. But as time goes on, it becomes apparent that this is not the first and only strange thing to happen in this town. Some adults in the town seem aware of something up in the mountains. People talk about this bizarre feeling they get when they go into the forests, that they need to keep their eyes on the path when walking through the forest, in case they catch the eye of something waiting for them in the trees. There's an overall air of tension surrounding this town, and it is readily apparent that some people know more than they're letting on. The first inkling we get of any of this is when Hikaru and Yoshiki are walking home from school, wheeling their bikes along, when this admittedly creepy looking old woman freaks out at the sight of Hikaru, screaming, "Is that the Lord Brain Snatcher?" Wheeling back from him, begging, terrified for it to stay away. Yoshiki tells him to ignore it and keep moving on, but Hikaru is stopped, blank-faced, empty eyes staring at this old woman, before some further cajoling from Yoshiki makes him get the ball rolling, and they move on. Later that night, however, the old woman, cowering in fear in front of her front door, hears someone knocking. They're there to deliver a package, before a multitude of voices, or the same voice, over and over, all at once, implore her to let them in. And when she rebuffs and says, "No, why would I let someone in this late? No, go away," it lets her know that it's already on its way in. And we find out that this woman died horrifically. And I won't describe why. Go and read it yourself. It is messed up. But that is the first of what I'm imagining will be many more horrific occurrences in this town. There are hints that Hikaru's family have some kind of responsibility to complete a ritual in the forests, and maybe that's why Hikaru was on his way up there before he passed. That there is a history of terrifying things hidden in the mountains surrounding this town. Some of the adults do definitely know more than they're letting on. One of them even tries to warn Yoshiki away from Hikaru. And it looks like there are other entities aside from just Hikaru wandering the empty forests in this rural town. And we do see some instances of other spirits, evil things permeating the town. After some kind of evil spirit attacks Yoshiki's sister in the bath in their house, Hikaru comes by to try and exorcise or consume whatever entity is in there. And at this point, we've seen evidence of other entities popping up throughout the town, to the point where whatever adults are aware of this feel the need to involve someone from outside of town, someone who has some idea of what's going on, and possibly how to stop it. And while there is an overall and underlying tension and horror to the story, it does an incredible job of taking what we know from coming-of-age stories, especially surrounding the possible burgeoning romance between Hikaru and Yoshiki, and putting this awful cosmic horror, body horror twist to things. Things that would usually be endearing and a little bit awkward. Things we can identify with. Things we can find cute. That normal romantic tension and awkwardness of two people growing up and figuring out their feelings for each other is twisted into something much more unnerving. And I wish I could talk more about the story, but I can't because it is only 14 chapters in. This is something I am going to be coming back to consistently. It is ongoing. There's much more to it than I've explained in this video because I really do want you to go in as blind as you can into some of the story points that have already been hit on. There are parts I haven't even spoken about because I want you to be able to feel some of the things I felt when reading it. All I've done is given you context to the story. Sure, I've spoiled some things, but I encourage you, if you enjoy the tropes of otherwise normal genres being subverted by an undertone of horror, this story is for you. It almost reminds me of Parasite the Maxim if it was from the perspective of one of the main character's friends in that, like just watching this otherworldly creature. But I'm going to stop myself there because I just want you to go and read this. I've reread the 14 chapters so far 4 times already looking for new little bits and pieces, and I'm going to be obsessed with this story. I'll definitely do another video about it once the story finishes, or at least once there's a good bit more to work off of. And with how popular popular this manga has gotten, I really would love to see an anime made of this. I feel like with the right studio and the right artists behind this, it could be up there with some of the greats in anime horror. Again, calling back to things like Higurashi, it could be one of the best horror animes of all time. It's definitely at this point one of the stories I've been most enthusiastic about, and I'm so happy to have gotten in on the ground floor of this story, while also deeply upset that I did not find it once it had completely finished, because I want more! So with that, go! Read it online. It is available online. You can read it on Kadokawa Shoten's Young Aesop website. It is on there, free for you to look at. You can buy the first 2 volumes in a tankobon. I'm going to be buying them soon because I want this on my shelves. And please, give me a full-blown fucking essay in the comments about what you think of this. I am obsessed. I'm going to be talking about this for a while. But if you like the tone of the story, then give the like button an old melty face Hikaru slap, and then go and enjoy what is the singularly most unnerving story I've read in a long time. But that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm going to cut myself off there, because this video could easily be an hour long. I'm going to try and keep it tight and contained. If you're watching this video the day it comes out, I'm streaming right now over on my Twitch channel. The link is in my link tree in the description. So come on over and follow me there if you want to hear me just chat and talk shit about whatever. Right now, I'm splitting my time between Elden Ring and Kingdom Hearts because I love both of those games almost equally. So come on over and say hello. I'd love to see you there. Anyway, that's all from me. I'll see you in the next video.